Did you know that your birth chart is not only showing you, it's also showing your children? It's showing something about the personality, their energy, how they go through life, the tendencies, and it would say a lot about the relationship that you have with each of them. So we all know that the fifth house is represented, or represent our children. It also represent, the childlike sides of us, and self-expressing creativity, fun, and all that kind of thing, being playful and entertaining and all that. So it's kind of a natural house for children overall. But if you want to know something more specific of each of your children and their different personalities, if you have more than one, of course, you look to the following houses. So the first child is represented by your fifth house, your second child by your seventh house, your third child by the ninth house, your fourth child by the 11th house, and so on. So what does this mean? That means that, of course, we know that our children have different personalities. And sometimes we have an easier time with one of the children than the other, and it's just there is this easy flow, or there is some challenges. But there is actually a lot of information you can get from your own chart about your relationship or your experience of that relationship with your child. And it's actually super helpful if you want to understand your children better, because sometimes they are different from us. They move differently through life. Maybe we are ourselves an earth sign and we need time and we need to reflect on decisions before we make them. Maybe we have a very fiery child and they want to be quick and they want to move fast and they get bored and they want to have some action and so on and so on. And we can have these clashes because we don't understand each other well enough. So again, the cusp of a certain house, the fifth, the seventh, the ninth, 11th, and so on, will definitely say something about that child's personality. And it's kind of shocking and fun when you go and look into it, how accurate it actually is. And so say that you have Libra on your fifth house. That means it's ruled by Venus. So the relationship with that child would be, very balanced, and both would be maybe diplomatic and, just getting each other, loving the more finer things in life, loving fashion, maybe loving beauty, and so on and so on. And then let's say the Venus has a great placement, easy placement, you just get each other, you enjoy each other's company, and you're just relaxed in each other's company. So let's say that you have Aries on one of the house cusps. And, what you really get with this child is you have both a passion for sport. Your child is playing football like you did, and you go to all the matches, and you have that in common. There's a lot of fire and energy. And so, but let's say that you are yourself fire and you have a child with Pisces on one of your house cusps, which means maybe it will not be so easy to understand the more artistic side of that child. And maybe you feel that they should be, if you are Virgo, Sun yourself, or this Capricorn, and you think they should be more attentive towards their homework and stuff like that, and not really giving them the allowance to follow a little bit their creative spirit, and they don't need the same push as maybe another earthy child would do. And so we also have these different, this saying that even if you have siblings, and you have the same parents, you didn't really have the same parents, because when they had you, they were different ages, and that meant they had more experience or less experience. Maybe when the firstborn came, there was not a lot of money in the household, but when the fourth child came along, they had built up, a lot of more wealth, and they had moved to a big house, and there will be a very different upbringing for those two children. And sometimes when there's a big age difference, you really have maybe the first child experienced, first-time parents in their 20s where they were not sure of themselves and trying things out, a little nervous. And then if you were born by parents who were late 30s, you might have had a different experience of somebody more, sure of themselves, more self-aware, and handling conflict a little bit better. Instead of being reactive, they were, being more guiding and more understanding. So we really do not have the same experience as our parents, like individually, and the parents also have not the same exact same experience with each child, because they are, of course, very, very different. And depending on our own energies and flow and how we move through the world, we will have an easier or more challenging time understanding our child, especially if they're very, very different from us. But looking through your chart and really looking at the houses to see the sign, what does the sign represent? And the ruler of that sign, what is that doing in your chart? Is there a challenging aspect, or is there a more easy, supportive aspect to it? And that will give a lot of information. And also equally the planets. If you have a planet in one of those houses that represent the child, that will give added information about how you experience that child and how that child experienced you. So I had a mother where the first child was in her Virgo 5th house, and Mercury was placed in a very, very good position for the mother. And the mother was herself a Gemini ascending sign. So the communication between that child and mother was very easy. They just understood each other's world. They didn't need a lot of explanation. It's just they got each other. So when the second child came along, that's in the mother's 7th house, and there's Scorpio on that house. And there is even Mars. So the mother just found it a lot more difficult to speak to this child, because she was herself very earthy, and this child was much more about emotional closeness and a little bit, and with the Mars in that house, there were a lot of arguments and conflicts and confrontations. So you cannot adapt the exact same parenting style for different children, because they obviously need different things according to their own personality. So that's why I find it so valuable when clients come to me to get more information about a child, to understand them better and to see how best they can parent them, to be supportive and show that the unconditional love we all need to thrive, and especially to be understood, to be seen, and to be heard. So if you're interested in booking a reading with me, feel free to contact me on dancingastrologer.com. I have now a new, easier booking system. And I also introduced like a shorter version. If you don't want to commit to a full hour, I have now 25 minutes for 50 francs, where you just get the especially the three big ones, your sun, your moon, and your ascending sign, which will give you at least the core of who you are and how you move through life. So this was it for me today. I hope it was helpful. I hope you are curious enough to go and look at your own chart to see which house occupies each of your houses according to your children, and reflect a little bit about how is dynamic with that child. So thank you for listening, and see you next time, I hope.